Mm. So? Okay. Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here from Kyiv, Ukraine. Please, before I introduce my guest today, I would like you people to go and share this message on YouTube, on Facebook, and everywhere. Go and share the message, because I was going through the details, the manifesto of this presidential candidate. His banner, the logo or the slogan that he uses is the revolution of ideas. You know, I thought it was just a, advertisement stunt before, until I read it, until I went through all the documents and the papers. So until I went through the documents and the paper, when I read through it, I said, wow, I've been talking to presidential candidates now for like a month, starting with Showore and Kingsley Moghalu and others. And I will tell you what, there is nothing as detailed as what I've read from this guy. I mean, Kingsley, for example, wrote a whole book on his plan for Nigeria, on his vision for Nigeria. I mean, like 400 pages. But this guy, this man here, he just has a small pamphlet, but that pamphlet consists of all issues and about 2 or 3 times more issues than the things that Kingsley has in all his book. So this I was thinking, what kind of a guy is this one? What kind of a man is he? He is so thorough and details, at least maybe not as much details as I'm thinking, but at least the ideas are actually revolutionary. He has revolution of ideas. So please, everybody that is watching us right now, please go. If you don't share this thing, you will regret it. I don't know if he's going to be as proficient and as eloquent as his writings are. But his writings that I've read, he's so proficient, he's so eloquent that you will regret not sharing this if you didn't share it. So go and tag everyone you know. Even if you are not Nigerian, if you are European or you are from any other African country, please go and share this message with any Nigerian or with all Nigerians you know everywhere. I kind of have a sense that we are going to have a debate, because I have very, very good questions for this our candidate, presidential candidate, based on his manifesto for him. And those questions alone are going to be so thorough, and I'm looking forward to the way he's going to handle them. But you know what? I want you to go and share this message, everybody. Share, share, share. Those on YouTube, go and invite your people to join us on YouTube. Those on Facebook, go and invite your people to join us on Facebook. We need to share this message. And the presidential candidate that I have today is called, they call him, they have a they have a short for him like JFK, right? But they have, his own is TKF. And when I read his book, I mean, when I see his writings, I'm always thinking he's always reminding me of JFK. But his own is actually TKF or TKF, which stands for Tope Kolade Fasua. So Tope Kolade Fasua, I mean, with this kind of ideas this guy has here, let me not go ahead of things. Let me just allow him to do justice to his own thoughts and ideas. But even if he's not the one who wrote all these ones, even if it's a team that he put together to come together with these ideas, then it means he knows how to put a team together. But if he's the one who wrote them, I want to really hear his story. What has prepared him to think like this? Very unconventional, absolutely different from the way African politicians think. So where is he coming from? So I now introduce you to TKF, Tope Kolade Fasua. Let's welcome him. Hello, Mr. TKF.
Yes, sir. Good evening, where you are too. I reckon You are a couple of hours ahead of
Yes,
us.
we are in, it's
So
evening
good
our time
evening,
right
sir.
now.
I thank,
Hello?
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. You are saying something I just missed out.
Yeah, I reckon you're 1 or 2 hours ahead of us.
Yes.
So I'm wishing you good evening and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and thank you for coming, sir. And who is this TKF? Who is TKF? People that I'm going to be, who are watching us, they don't know what they're about to see right now. They don't know who they are encountering right now. But I already have an idea of who TKF is, at least in my own mind. I think that, you are. I hope that they will get to exercise. Oh, did we lose him? Okay, we lost him. Let's try to get him back again. Please, meanwhile, let's go and share the message, everybody. Share the message with your friends and family, everyone, and let's why TKF is missing. He's in Nigeria, so I'm afraid that the Facebook or the connection might be a little bit bad, but we are going to get him back right now. We are going to get him back. Derji Ruki Pastayana чтобы не было так далеко. И уберите эти стаканы, которые у вас лишние там. Фокус, вам надо увеличить свой фокус. Бабуся, помоги ему убрать это самое, это подальше отсюда. So we are going to try to get Tope Fasua back, but you know, like I said, I don't like to. The only person that I've talking so highly of this presidential candidate, just going by what they are, what they present, what I've read about them, was Kingsley. Kingsley is really very up there. Is really good, especially on the economy. But this guy here, yeah, I don't know. I have to talk to him to really find out if he's for real or not. Because if he's for real, then it deserves some chance. This guy we will need to pay attention to him. If what I've read from his writings are to go by, I actually want to hear more about him. I want to know what he's done so far and who he is actually, and to be able to know where is he coming from? Where did he get all these absolutely mind-blowing ideas? Of course, I have some questions on how he's going to bring those things to pass. So please go and share this message with as many people as possible. Share with your friends, with your family members. And the good thing is that before I started talking to him, he showed me some of my books. He said he has been reading my books. So that's a good thing also. He said he has been reading some of my books. Even though I normally send them some of my books. I sent him two just a few days ago. But he said he had read 4 of my books before then. And he showed them to me. And so that's a good thing that he's looking for knowledge always. So which means, he's also been drinking from this platform. So he said he has been following us or reading my books, but he showed me the books for real, not electronic, but physical books. So, which is a good one. So I don't know why we are not getting him yet. I'm sorry, guys. We are supposed to get him now. He's supposed to come in. So please don't go away, anybody. Let's just wait on and see if he's going to come on, because this, you are not going to regret this, the conversation, I bet you, because I don't know how he talks. So but from what he has written is very, very progressive ideas, very, very unique way of thinking, very, very uncustomary way of thinking. Hello, sir.
About
I don't know what happened, but we know we are dealing with Africa, so no problem.
that.
So we are dealing with Africa until you become the president to fix all these challenges, right?
Hopefully, by God's grace.
Okay, okay. So, Mr. Fasua, Tope Fasua, who is Tope Fasua? Because I knew that you were a presidential candidate and you are coming on. I just thought you were just one of those regular presidential candidates, aspirants. But after going through your program, my interest went like 200% to get to know more about you, because I want to know where you are getting that thinking from. Where your slogan is revolution of ideas. And I was thinking, oh, that guy is just using words. But after going through your writings and your articles, I said, wow, this guy is not, those words are not just empty words. This is a whole revolution of ideas. Wow. I said, why is the government, why has not the government not noticed this guy? Why has he not been in the government? Why has he not been a minister? Why has he not been a governor? Why has he not been in the, where has he been? So I want to know, where has TKF been, and who is TKF? Our people from all over the world would like to know.
Thank you very much, Pastor Sunday. Let me also say that I greatly admire you from this end as well. And I'm also very enthralled by your work, you know. So TKF is me. I'm a regular Joe. I'm an ordinary Joe, and I'm this ordinary Joe who's ready to tell the world that an ordinary Joe can make a difference. Of course, you can call me the invisible man. Sometimes I think I'm the invisible man. You know, I'm very visible, but I'm invisible all the same, because I have all these ideas coming, and I think I've got what it takes. I've got that solution. But it's so easy for people like me to be ignored in this space. All of the ideas you have seen that I've put together are things that I've actually sent even to President Buhari and co over time. And of course, all of that has been ignored because the focus is never on ideas here. The focus is always on personality, on tribe, and what have you, all the other kind of inanities. I'm sorry, you know. So, but I'm, you know, by way of background, I'm from Ondo State. The name is pronounced Fasua. My dad is from Ondo State. Okay. I'm from Nigeria. I'm from the world, you know. So I'm a global citizen and all of that. So, I'm 46 now. I'm going to be 47 next month.
Yeah, where did you start? Can you tell us your background, your educational background, and your experience?
Oh yes, you'll be shocked again. The educational background, I'm just one of those person who I don't know, it's innate in me, and I've been to very regular schools. You know, I mean, I went to primary school partly in Lagos, and then we moved to Ondo State in Akure. I went to by then I was already in secondary school. Funny enough, I was in primary 4 in Lagos when Jack Conde came. I think I was like. And they had this idea, I think it was 1981 or 1981, and they moved all of us from primary 4 to Form 1. And I was just 8 then, you know, so I didn't know what it was all about. You know, I went to one of those Jaconde schools in Okota, Isolo, that didn't have windows, you know. Yes. But I did only 1 year there, and then we moved to Ondo State. We then went to Army Comprehensive High School. It was the military era, so I had that kind of, you know, we were right there in the barracks, even though my dad is not a soldier. He's an accountant, actually. And so I did my secondary education in Army Comprehensive High School up to Form 5. I was really young. When I did my first WAEC, I was 13. So wow. I naturally flunked it, you know. Yes, I was 13. I had 2 credits and 5 passes, 5 Ps. At 13? And I had one F9. Yes, I had one F9 in economics, which I ended up studying in BSc, you know. So I had to do that WAEC again in 1986. And then I went into university in 1987. I went to Ondo State University in 1987. It was then Ondo State. Now it's called Ekiti State. It was you would call it a very small mushroom university then, but I made the most of it. For some reason, it was while I was in university that my brain started opening up, and that was the first time I scored A's in maths, scored A's in English, scored A's everywhere. And I ended up as the best student in graduating from that school in 1991.
From the university?
Yes, both, you know, yeah, both in the faculty, the department, and the entire school. So that was in 1991. I served in Calabar in the Institute of Education, University of Calabar, then came back to Lagos and picked up a job with Citizens Bank, then called Citizens International Bank. I worked in Citizens between 92 and 98. I went to Standard Trust Bank between 98 and 2000. Then I moved to Equatorial Trust Bank, that's Mike Adenuga's bank, between 2000 and 2005, before I left the banking industry. I went for my master's in the UK. I've always been fascinated with the world of derivatives. The world of derivatives, what they call high finance. When you're talking about all those futures, options, forward swaps, structured products. I wanted something a bit higher. I just felt that, look, what we were doing in Nigeria was not banking, that, there was a lot of chasing deposits and all of that. So I went to London Metropolitan University because they came to do some educational fair here, all the universities.
What particular school in London?
London Metropolitan. It's not particularly a wonderful school, but it served my purpose because I wanted a university that could offer financial derivatives as a course, as a master's course. And I wanted that university to be in London because I wanted to make friends in the city of London. I wanted to make friends in the financial sector. And I think I achieved that because when I came back to Nigeria, right after that master's, I was setting up a consulting business. And some of the guys that I met in London, we were working together, So one of my then lecturers, Duncan Hughes, who was actually the MD of my consulting firm in London for a while. And then met people like Murad Chowdhury. The guy is a guru in banking and all of that. So that has served my purpose. So, and those guys are still my friends till tomorrow. They're still my friends. So now I've been developing my consulting firm since 2006, 2007 when I came back, and I still run that one. I'm also the for service excellence with some of my friends.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, go ahead. We're hearing you.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Something called an Institute for Service Excellence and Good Governance. The focus is on service excellence in Africa because I reckon that we didn't have that attention to details for delivering services in Nigeria especially. So that was started about 4 years ago. I'm the president of that institute. Then I've been writing as well. I've been writing books. I have 6 books actually, 6 books. Beautiful. And they are here. This is one of my latest books.
What's the title, please? Can you tell us the title?
Oh, this one is one of my latest books. It's the one I said my story is the story of Nigeria.
Oh, good.
But this book, Nigeria Story is My Story. This book actually has a bit of my autobiography in there, as well as some of this political sojourn, since I actually moved for the opening of a political party. And then the title Revolution. Yeah, the title Revolution of Ideas. I also developed it into a book, and I put some of the even more detail than that pamphlet, the brochure you saw.
Wow.
I put it in this.
I need to get. How can I get the book? This particular book.
They are right now at the printer. I just had I have a few copies, but yes, I can organize it and send it to Ukraine or wherever you are, sir.
Yes, or is it available on Amazon? I can order it on Amazon.
They will be. These two will be available on Amazon soon.
Okay.
But I have 3 books on Amazon already, and I'll show you. But this one is not on Amazon. This one I published in 2015. It's titled "Change is Going to Come."
Yes.
And I have some ideas on how we can achieve that change, which never came, but it'll come when I come.
Yes.
Then this is my 3rd book. It's titled "Things to Do Before Your Career Disappears." This one talks about the advent of artificial intelligence, of robotization, and how it has taken so many jobs out, in the world, and what can we do from a Nigerian perspective. All right, if America and co, they are preparing for that eventuality, which is even a reality presently, we seem not to be prepared. And then I've got this book. Well, that's my 2nd book. This is my 3rd book. It's called The Race for Capital. Now, the race for capital is an idea that's still developing, but basically, it's, around 2013, there's this man called Thomas Piketty. Thomas Piketty wrote a book titled Capital in the 21st Century. And it was a big debate among economists. Even though, unfortunately, Nigerian economists, they don't get involved in all of those debates. We don't get involved. Then Okonjo-Iweala was here. They were busy, sometimes borrowing money all over the place and all of that, not thinking. Nobody is thinking about income inequality in this country. Nigeria is the global headquarters of income inequality in the world. I'm an economist. I'm a self-respecting economist. I'm an economist that, I'm intellectual. I'm ready to challenge even some of the ideas that was put forward by Adam Smith in 1798 or thereabouts. I'm ready to challenge some of them and belong to that school of thought that's evolving in terms of economics. So Race for Capital was written as the prelude is, look, who is getting what and why? Why are some people positioned to get more money than others? Why are some countries getting more money and those who are getting more? How do we solve the problem? Suppose that we continue down that line and it gets to a nadir whereby, we get to a point where poor people become even so poor, like it's happening in Nigeria now. And the few rich are getting extremely rich. They don't know what to do with the money. What happens? Someone like Paul Mason, there's a man called Paul Mason, the chief economist in The Guardian, UK. I read his articles sometimes. He suggested that, contrary to, the idea of let us tax the rich the more so that they can provide for the poor, which I think sometimes if you go and start taxing the rich more, it will seem as if you are envious of their wealth. So Paul Mason is proposing that, look, we should get to a point in government, administrative capability that government to be so efficient that human beings will need very little cash to survive. And that is what is going on in parts of Europe right now. That for a little bit of cash, you can buy as much food as you want to eat in a month. For maybe 20, 25 pounds in London, even as expensive as London can be, you can buy a travel card that takes you around the city, whether by road, by rail, by underground, in a week. You can buy that. If you buy ahead of time, even for 70, 80 pounds, you can afford that in a month, such that people will not be in that rat race to get money. So right now, in Nigeria, we're still stuck in the rat race, and you know what they say about rat race, that even if you win the rat race, you will still remain a rat. So in Nigeria, they don't think about some of these things. So right now, we still run this prebendal crony capitalism. That's why you hear people talk a lot about, privatize this, privatize that. Government has no business in business. The government should not touch anything. It is counterintuitive because the reality is that the first thing that must happen in this country is that government must become responsible. If government never becomes responsible, there's no amount of privatization, no amount of borrowing from abroad, no amount of PPP and all of that will work. This is my first book. It's titled Crushed. I wrote this one around 2010, 2011. And this title is called Crushed: Navigating Africa's Tortuous Quest for Development, the Myths and the Realities. Africa's Tortuous Quest. So this Crush is actually an acronym for the things that I believe we should do. C stands for courage. It stands for China, that we should study how China did it. We should have C is for courage. We should also go after corruption. That is C. R stands for that we should be reasonable and responsible in our quest. I don't believe that we should continue blaming the West for colonizing us. I think that we should take our destiny in our hands and run with it. And we should stop complaining and we should take responsibility for our situation. U stands for unity because we find ourselves in a country where, as some people are pushing, some are pulling, and in every direction. Without unity, we can't get anywhere. S stands for strategy. We must have a deliberate strategy to move from this point to the point that we want to get to. H stands for history. We must understand our history. We must put in hard work. Okay, that's what H stands for. And the E stands for education. Now, we're not talking about paper education that works for us. This afternoon, I was on AIT, and I observed to the anchor that even though University of Ibadan was started in 1948, which is 70 years exactly, we cannot make a bulb in Nigeria. One bulb cannot be made in Nigeria. If everything the white man produces should disappear from Nigeria, all of us will be walking around naked. There'll be almost nothing in this country. So we haven't actually developed the capability. And we're not talking about, importing the equipment or the technology to produce the things we need. That is not development. When you have to import the technology and equipment and you're not adding any value to that technology or equipment, and then you just manufacture as much as you can until the technology expires or the equipment breaks down, then you go back abroad to go and bring it, then you're not developing. The way it should be done is, I'm saying that we are not developing any internal capability or capacity to even develop anything and manufacture anything on our own. And that is a big shame. D stands for democracy. Democracy to the extent that we should also be careful of what we buy. For example, this expensive democracy that we're running is not necessarily giving us the kind of value that we should be getting. Do we need a Senate and a House of Reps at the same time? What are they doing? Pushing papers. Do we even know why the Americans evolved the idea of a different Senate and a different Congress? There's a reason why they did that. It's peculiar to them as well. So that is my first book. So basically, that's what I've been doing. I've written thousands of articles. I'm a regular in Premium Times for about 14, 15 years. I've been a regular with Daily Trust and the.
So are you majorly a writer, or you are majorly an economist or an entrepreneur?
Everything. I'm not majorly anything, sir. In this book of mine, I noted that we now live in the age of the generalist. All right. If I'm not.
I admire that. Very much.
Entrepreneur, I have a few businesses. I actually have 3 consulting firms actually that I'm running at different levels. I run also the Institute of Service Excellence. I have a small bookshop somewhere. I have a small printing press somewhere, and all of that is going on. With my wife, we run a travel agency as well, and also a restaurant and a small restaurant somewhere as well. So, and a bakery. So, whatever it takes, because like people will say, ninjali, and because I will not steal, I have to ensure that at least I keep my head above water.
What I admire about your thinking, your way of thinking is so revolutionary and uncustomary. For example, I'm a pastor myself, and I've heard a lot of Nigerians challenging me and say that, hey, face your business. Pastor, face your business. If you're a pastor, just do pastoring. Because that's what people do in Nigeria. So when I begin to talk about politics, they say, hey, why? Hey, you shouldn't go there. That's not your terrain. And if I talk about economies and about finances, they say, but I thought you were a pastor now. But I am all of the above. That's what I say. Don't let anybody ever confine you to one particular sphere.
Exactly. The generalist will always employ the specialist, and that is the truth. If you go and check it out, the person who understands human nature, who understands leadership, who understands a bit of management, a bit of technical stuff here and there, is the one that will put all the specialists in a room and say, you sit down there, you're an accountant. And he'll only pay them as much as keeps them coming back every month.
Now,
however,
Mr. Fasua, there are so many things I want to talk to you about. Number one, in your write-up, I like your write-up so much, but the first one I want to start with is about our budget. Tell us something, because most people watching this don't know this, that our budget, I've always wondered about this. Why is our budget so low? I think we are budgeting about $20 billion or $30 billion? $25 billion. Okay. At a point where, and that is only about less than $200 on every Nigerian, right?
$140 precisely.
Okay, $140 per Nigerian in our budget. And South Africa will be like $2,000 per person?
Yes.
Okay, and if
Absolutely.
Angola will budget more money for each individual than Nigeria does.
By far. Yes. By
But
far. Angola budgets about $1,800 per person.
and
Nigeria, it's a shame, sir. It's a big shame, you know, because
okay, tell us more
look,
about
that's
this. Tell us
actually
more
the
about
secret.
this.
Sir, they will not talk to me and the so-called establishment people. Oh, I'm sorry, they are jokers, right? They are jokers. I'm a very respectful person. So, you know, we write about this thing, we go on TV, we beg them, we say everything. They ignore. Look, Pastor Sunday, pray for Nigeria. There's an evil lockdown on this country. There perhaps, sometimes I feel some people have signed a pact that this country should never move forward. The reason why I threw myself into this race at great risk is because that curse must be broken. And we're going to confront them whether they like it or not. Nigeria has no business budgeting $25 billion for all its people. You know, because the trick behind it is this. The $25 billion that we're budgeting for our people, which is 9.1 trillion naira, divided by 360, which is the going rate of the dollar outside, is what works out to $25 billion. We still cannot find that 25 billion in our economy. So we say we can only generate about $20 billion. And then we have to go and borrow $5 billion from outside or more. Since this government came, all they've been doing is borrowing money every now and then. They allegedly have borrowed about 11 trillion naira since they came in 3 years, even much more than PDP borrowed in their 16 years. And PDP is also a dismal government. You know, it's not something to write.
Mr. Fasua, I'm going to direct you in the way that I think will be more constructive for you and for me and for everybody, because you have your own solutions. I don't want us to talk about this particular government, what they are doing or what they are doing wrong, but I like like your solutions. Let's discuss your solution. So, like for example, you said in your writing that you can double the budget of Nigeria in 1 year. That is what I want to hear.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I was saying about the budget that if you're doing $25 billion, that budget, that is the expenditure budget, meaning that a government, you know, usually governments will run deficit because they believe that they can always borrow money to make up and the economy will keep growing. And, you know, so many governments run deficits into perpetuity, and Nigeria is one of them. Even though the other time I was studying the US economy, studying the UK economy, there are times when they have balanced budgets. But in Nigeria, all we have ever seen is deficit budgeting. Now, so when you say Angola is running $47 billion budget this year, and their population is 25 million people, then the thing is that when you look at that budget, even if they're running deficit, Angola is able to generate at least $40 billion in revenue for its government from that economy. If South Africa is running $155 billion budget this year, and that is what they are running, even if they have to get 1 or 2 deficit, South Africa technically is generating this year $144 billion from their economy in terms of revenue. So you see, the issue is to look at that revenue. Okay, Nigeria. One of my friends who's a professor, Professor Sunsungi, he also contested for presidency in Cameroon a few years back. He called Nigeria a large grape with no juice. It's supposed to be large. I personally do not believe that this economy is bigger than South Africa, except we're deceiving ourselves. There's something in economics that we call economic complexity. That is what deals with how complex, how sophisticated, how advanced, how much value added are the products that you are selling to the world. The thing about even things like the currency is that your currency will only be strong if there are other people looking for your currency. But in Nigeria, what we have seen is a scenario where the naira is always chasing every currency because nothing is denominated in the naira, and the things that we're producing are not worth much. Maybe you are producing raw cocoa, raw rubber, and all of that. You know, those things we just sell raw. We don't even care what is done with it. Over the weekend, I was talking to a friend of mine who deals with charcoal. She sells charcoal. And of course, yes, it may look very, very lucrative, but this charcoal is the thing they use to do batteries and all of that. And then you start to wonder, why can't we use our own charcoal to do our own batteries in our own country? And now we're talking about alternative energy. Batteries are back in vogue. Okay, so batteries are back in vogue. Why are we not using this? So
when you talk about
Pastor, wait, sir.
Okay.
So the thing, no, just a minute, sir. So it's very critical to notice that thing about the budget. There are many problems with the budget. I will only deal with the fact that that budget is dismal, is low, and it can be doubled in a year. Now, in doubling the budget, what you do is, number one, of course, there's a lot of excesses that, especially our governments are running a lot of excesses. You need to be here and see how they spend the money, right? So all of those things can be plugged. But let's not look at taxes alone. The government must look at how to organize society, not only for taxes, for rates, for dues, for fees, for levies, and so on, that makes up society. So the other time I was in a seminar organized by APC. It's actually the only economic seminar they ever organized. And they were, they brought a lot of professors. Everybody was saying, oh, we can do this, we can diversify into agriculture, diversify into IT, but there's no money to do it. And, it was in plenary. And I was trying to ask a question. Nobody answered me. But they recognized one white woman who was sitting in front of me. And the white woman stood up and said, she said, I've been to a few countries in my life, in my time, but Nigeria is the only country where you don't get a fine for overspeeding. She said, how then do you hope to fund your budget? And she sat down. And of course, when they will answer, they were talking off point. You go to places in Europe, they organize themselves by knowing their limits and by people paying for what they incur. So, but here, if you say you want to fine people for overspeeding, the biggest culprits are the same people who use government and taxpayers' money to purchase big cars for themselves, and they're running like 10, 20 cars on the road. They're not paying any fine, they're not paying any toll. To develop your country and fund your budget. So, sir, the money is here in this country. The people running this country are just too squeamish and they're too afraid to go after the money, and they're still protecting themselves. Let's look at taxes. Ordinary things like capital gains tax. People sell properties in this country, they pocket the money. It's not done anywhere. In the UK, capital gains tax is 28%. Only rich men pay. When you sell your assets, you make a profit. Government shows up and takes 28% of your profit.
So what is the percentage you are proposing for? What is the percentage you propose for Nigeria?
We already have it, sir. The percentage is 10%. They're just not collecting because they're protecting themselves. The taxes are here. Inheritance taxes, for example. All right. The other time, I was in the same place with the current minister, and she was saying, if we introduce inheritance taxes now, what's gonna inheritance taxes in this country? I think it's only 10% as well, and it's a very good tax for to keep the money down to their children and their children's children. That is, the government must show up and collect its own part of the money. These taxes, even if you tell me that they're difficult to implement it all the same. So look, we have all of those things that we have. Look, when the British was living here, they left us with all their codes. It was left to us to use it, but then the do you know who I am thing came up. Everybody is a big man. You can't challenge anybody, and that's where we are.
No, I want to take you up. I want to take you to book on the taxes. From your book,
yes,
you claim that Nigeria can actually generate $100 billion or over $100 billion from taxes alone.
Yes.
And you actually mentioned some articles of the taxes. I want you, and you even mentioned figures. 3 trillion,
yeah.
5 trillion from IT, 5 trillion from people. Can you break that down?
Yes, I'm looking at it right here. Company income tax, 5 trillion. Right now, they're probably getting about 1 trillion out of it.
Let me tell you, the whole of Nigeria right now, we only get 2 trillion. That is because thanks to the new guy they put there, we are getting close to 2 trillion from everything. All the internally generated revenue is under 2 trillion.
They're getting 4 trillion. It's always been around 4 trillion. FRS always gets something in the region of 4 trillion. In fact, under Jonathan, the last year of Jonathan, they got 4.69 trillion, which was exactly equal to the budget for that year. It was just fortuitously. Note that whatever FRS gets, you know, they still have to share with states and all of that. They don't just sit on everything. That's part of the fact, you know. But yes, you can get the CIT forms only an aspect of the entire taxes collected in the country. I'm also a chartered accountant. Maybe I didn't tell you, I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountant in Nigeria, so I know a bit about taxes. So I'm saying that company income tax, you can move it up from about 1.5 trillion where it is right now to 5 trillion. The reason why they are not getting the money, all right, is because people don't trust them. All right, when you collect my taxes, I go to Europe, I see ministers who take the train to work. The other time, the mayor of London, they take the train. The mayor takes the bus.
Yeah,
right?
No, I want you to take the discussion in a different way. Before we discuss on why these people are not doing it, I want you to tell me, how do you plan to get, you know, 40 trillion naira from taxes alone? So, not how you plan to get it, but from what articles? Tell us these articles.
So number one, to tell you, the first thing about, you have to look at the elements of good taxation. Okay, the first thing is that a tax must be payable. All right, a tax must be payable, so you don't let the rates be too high. Okay, but more fundamental is that you must create trust. If there's no trust, nobody will pay your taxes. Many people can pay taxes in this country, but are not paying the taxes because they don't trust the government. And of course, you must be transparent to the extent that you have to go after your own friends, even you. In fact, if they want to collect taxes in this country, the first thing they need to do is to make their own tax clearances open. The president has not made open his tax clearance. The finance minister has not made it open. The chairman of FRS has not shown us his tax clearance. If you don't lead from the front, nobody will listen to you. And then you mind how you spend the people's money. The moment you can do that, you get this company income taxes going up fourfold to 5 trillion. Then I mentioned petroleum profit taxes. Sir, the reason why Angola is budgeting $47 billion this year is because of their petroleum sector.
No, but that is one of the only ones in Nigeria that actually produces as well. NNPC is the highest taxpayer in the country.
They are making losses. I'm sorry to say, they are a loss-making organization. So there's nothing going on in our petroleum sector is performing under par by far. The PIB is lost somewhere. Look, when they brought the PIB under President Umaru Yar'Adua was when they actually, and with Ruwan Lukman, that was when they actually was very serious about that PIB. I remember then as the MD of Shell at that time called Ann Pickard.
But it was, I think it was only it was only Jonathan that ended up passing it.
They didn't pass anything. It's not been passed as we speak.
Wow.
What they did under Jonathan was to break it down into pieces. So you have a governance bill, a production bill, and all of that stuff. Sir, what was? Let me shock you, sir. In 1993, under Abacha, we invited some oil companies to come and in what they call a PSC, product sharing contract. We invited them and said, okay, fine, come and produce for us, because we didn't want to give them JV. That means we didn't want to add any money to the transaction. You know, it's only recently that we're managing to even reconcile and to pay off some of the debts that we've been incurring in joint ventures. All right. So in 1993, Abacha he brought them in, and because then Abacha was under sanction, he was ready to take any kind of deal from them, and he said to them, okay, you know, anything you drill that is 1,000 meters and below 1,000 meters, that you will not pay us any royalties in Nigeria. Then the contract also said that if ever the price of crude oil goes past $20, we will review that agreement, the agreements that we signed. Because as at that time in 1993, perhaps nobody ever thought that the price of crude oil will go beyond $20. As we're speaking, in when Yar'Adua was around, price of crude oil went to as high as 140, 147. All right. Today we're talking about 74. That contract has not been reviewed since 1993. That's 25 years ago or so. That contract, the price of crude oil has gone far beyond $20. And again, unfortunately for us, Unfortunately for the IOCs, they now drill as low as 5 kilometers into the ground to get the crude. A lot of them have moved. They sold off all the onshore, okay, and all the marginal fields, all the shallow water fields, and they moved deep sea, where the minimum depth is 2,000 meters into the ground. Nigeria is not getting a dime in terms of royalty from any of those transactions till tomorrow. So listen, what do we do? This is not going to be an easy thing. I was telling you earlier that Ann Pickard, one of the former CEO of Shell, swore during the time of Jonathan that this PIB will not see the light of day. What do? We have to negotiate with them. Why do we have to negotiate with them? The owner of the technology is the owner of the resource. Nigeria on its own cannot drill 1 barrel of crude oil without the assistance of the technology of the white man. The owner of the technology is the owner of the resource.
No, but the technology...
This is the time that we have to actually tell ourselves some home truth.
No, but we know that there are so many other companies and countries that have similar technology. It's not just that company that we have contract with.
Exactly. No, sir. What I'm saying to you is that in the time that we've been independent, since 1956, when crude oil was discovered in Oloibiri.
Yeah, we didn't build our own technology. We didn't build the industry, yes.
We didn't build it. Exactly. Not if, look, we cannot manufacture one drilling bit, one drilling bit, one drilling head that, look, what is fracking? The US discovered fracking and what they call shale oil in the last 10 years or thereabout. What is shale oil? People don't even know. Nigeria has shale oil. Shale oil is when you drill crude oil and you get to a certain level and, there are rocks. The crude oil is around some rock formations deep down in the ground. And so sometimes when the flow begins to be weak, when the flow is too low, you abandon the well and go. The white man discovered a way of going deep down and fracturing the rocks. So they will crack the rock, more crude oil will come out. That's what they're doing in Nevada, in the US. And that's how the US became a net oil exporter at a point in time. Technology. Without the technology, you're lost. Nigeria hasn't started as a country. And it's a shame that the best resource that we have is abandoned. But we have professors sitting in universities, but they're not adding value until the day we can create our own technology.
Despite how convincing you are, in your program that I read, in your writings, you have not written about industry, manufacturing. You've not written about any form of industrial revolution. You've only written about the fourth generation industrial revolution, which is artificial intelligence a little bit. But what about industrialization of the nation?
Because it's even a much more complicated thing, sir. In this book is about how robots have taken over production. The first industrial revolution was driven by steam, right? The first industrial revolution was driven by steam. And that was steam that powered the ship.
By steel, iron.
Of those people in Europe.
Metal.
No, I'm coming, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Certainly, the first one was driven by steam. Steam engine boats came to Africa and loaded slaves. And then they chanced us, they colonized us. The second industrial revolution was powered by electricity.
Yes.
Electricity was even much more efficient than steam.
Yes.
A lot more production took place in the world. But you see, if you look at these two industrial revolutions, the one by steam, the one by electricity, you find out that those revolutions employed a lot more people in order to produce for a lot more people. So a lot more people were in employment.
Because it's fossil energy. Okay? Fossil energy. It's expensive.
Exactly. Just wait, sir. So the first two industrial revolutions, took a lot of people into the employment sector. Then the third industrial revolution came. It was powered by the internet. By the time the internet came, we started seeing a reduction in the number of people that could be employed in gross terms, especially if you are untrained. The person living in the village who has never seen a city before cannot understand the internet. This next industrial revolution that we're now in, the artificial intelligence era, and like Benjamin Netanyahu said the other time, he said we're looking at a nexus between artificial intelligence, connectivity, okay, and big data. Artificial intelligence, connectivity, and big data. That is the era we are in. Any leader that is talking to anybody and talking about we want to go and import machine to come and do it, the person doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
Look, if you want to be a manufacturer right now, you must be thinking in terms of competing with the world, because we live in a globalized world.
Yeah, what about,
all right, so listen,
what about the kind of thing that Elon Musk is doing? That is still industrialization.
Exactly, but how many people does he need to? Exactly, Elon Musk is at the cusp of artificial intelligence. All right, the guy is talking about driverless cars, for example, Tesla, and all of those things. He's talking about, they're talking about really weird ideas. We have two problems here.
Yes,
Number
but
one,
the challenge that I have,
as it's coming out,
even though you understand this, but I can't see the breakdown in your writings of how you plan to bring Nigeria into the middle or the top of this industrial revolution, the fourth generation.
Yeah, we can't discuss everything in this part, but some of them are discussed in my book. Now, let me tell you what we need to do, sir. The breakdown is there. What we need to do, we have to start from the small places. They say if you cannot do small things well, you can never get big things right. It's not possible.
But it's going to take us forever.
The problem Nigeria has now,
if we start from small things, we will never be able to get there in our lifetime.
No, it doesn't matter. Start the small things and begin to perfect it. You'll be shocked how quickly you can scale up. But if you can't do small things, you cannot. Nigeria cannot organize its airports, right? You go to the airport, you see children begging there, selling groundnuts when they should be in school. You see 200 touts in Abuja airport looking for, asking you if you want taxi. We can't organize that airport. We want to go and start another carrier.
No, I believe
you can't handle it.
I believe in leap jumping. We can leap jump.
Yeah, you can. No. For you to leap jump effectively, you have to know where you're coming from. And this thing I'm saying, it actually has to do with the whole of Africa. Listen, we're saying that, look, we have not been able to build our own capacity in the oil sector beyond bringing, and when I was here, we had a problem with some of the oil companies in terms of what they call transfer pricing, that they were reducing their taxes by importing things at very expensive rates from some of their sister companies abroad. Oh, if this is a drill bit, and I tell you that I bought this drill bit for $1.5 million, you cannot challenge it because you can't produce something like that. So, Pastor Sunday, what my thinking about manufacturing is that we must, the big problem we have in Nigeria now is with unskilled labor. We have too much unskilled labor. We must find stuff for that unskilled labor to do. All right, I hope you are following me, sir.
Very well.
It's the unskilled labor that we must first of all deal with. And in dealing with unskilled labor, there's a lot of work that they can do around our environment, around things like light security and so on. This country needs a revolution, and that's why I use revolution of ideas. The whole idea, we can never match up to production in China, production in the USA for now, because we don't manufacture the machines. The best we can do is bring machines and technology from there, set up shop here, and begin to produce until we can't produce anymore. So I would say that if we were circumspect, we will start from the point of employing our skilled labor, all right, and ensuring that our society begins to reorganize itself. Nigeria right now is operating what I call the get rich or die trying kind of ethos. That is something that must change. So not everybody has to be up there, but we need to focus. Maybe I shouldn't call it big thing. Maybe I should talk about the attention to details. And like they say, the difference between success and failure is in the details. What we need in Nigeria is to begin to pay more attention to the details. When you come here and you see the way our streets look, they don't look very, very inviting. How then are you going to get the tourists? You go to Europe, you feel so happy walking on the streets. Even in some of the North African countries, you go to Morocco, go to Egypt, go to Tunisia, go to Algeria, go to South Africa. Someone said the other time that South Africa should remove Africa from that name because that Africa is actually staining the name. Of course, when you go there, of course, you have problems in some places like in Johannesburg and so on, in Hebrew and Co. And we know the people that are giving problems there as well. So we need to focus on the small things before we get to the level of, I don't know how we're going to catch up with that race, but one thing we can do, which is also in this book, I mentioned in this brochure, I mentioned the 5 irreducible minimum of the things that we need to do. And I titled it Fetch. Those are the irreducible minimum things that we must do whether we like it or not.
Yes, I want you to mention. I want you to mention those 5 things and expatiate on them for our audience.
Fantastic. So when I talk about that fetch, it's like these are the things that we must close our minds and focus on them with a singularity of purpose. Okay, and know that no matter what happens, these are the things we must deal with ourselves. The first thing is to feed ourselves. Of course, every government will come and say we should feed ourselves. But how? The Netherlands is the second highest exporter of food in the world. The Netherlands is 42,000 square kilometers. The Netherlands is probably like half of Niger State. Maybe it's Oyo State plus Oyo plus Osun State. That's the whole of Netherlands. All right. So now the Netherlands is the second highest producer of food in the world, exporter of food, and they export $120 billion worth of food. Remember Nigeria's budget, 25 billion, which all of us, 180 million people, are scampering over ourselves to get a share of. So the Netherlands exports $120 billion worth of food. All right, how do they do it? All right, so it's because agriculture is now fully scientified. It's scientific. It is technology driven. Within a small space, the farmers in Netherlands, they will grow things on several decks. They will grow on the ground, grow in mid-air, grow up, grow in the ceiling. And within this small space, you'll be shocked at the amount of tomatoes that will come out of it. You go to our villages, the farmers that we forgot in the village, we've forgotten them into eternity. We're not helping them. What is the big deal in giving some of these farmers a bit of science, a bit of technology to assist them to produce more? The only way we can produce food for ourselves is if we take science back to the farms. And we have the science. We have, look, the academicians, the universities and polytechnics, they hold the solution to the problems of this country. And if there's any professor who knows what to do and is refusing to do it, because some of them, in this country, you have to be careful as well. It's not everybody that's a patriot. Then we have to find a way around those people, because the young boys and girls in our universities and polytechnics, they are waiting to be given this kind of problems to solve. So to a large extent, we can actually take science to the farms so that we can boost production. Within a small patch of land, you cannot continue to farm in that traditional way. What is the big deal in assisting them? We're not talking of inorganic farming. We're talking of organic farming can be done in this country. People are talking of greenhouses now, and we're still doing traditional farming that we plant, and by the time the land is no longer productive, the farmer is poor. That's one.
Let me confirm what you are saying about introducing technology to farming. In this country, this is Russia, where I am here, Ukraine, Russia. Do you know that they don't know? People don't see cutlass and hoe. They don't even know what it is. And when I did research and I found out, why you don't know, have you ever seen hoe here or cutlass? You will never see it. So when I did research, I found out that for 800 years, almost 1,000 years ago, they stopped using cutlass and hoe. They started using cow and, the cattle and, to do, since 800 years ago, almost 1,000 years ago, they stopped using cutlass and hoe.
That tells you where we are, sir. I proceed to you that Nigeria is in its own dark ages, sir. I proceed to you that Nigeria is still in the dark ages, right? And according to James Michener, he said, an age was called dark, not because the light refused to shine, but because people refused to see the light.
Okay, but so feed ourselves is just one of the 5 something. What are the next ones? Because our time is limited as well.
Yes. Pastor, give me 1 second. Let me put out. They took the lights here. Just a minute.
Okay, that's Nigeria. Those are the things you have to go to solve in the government. Those are the things you have to go and solve in the country. That's why we need technology. Yes. That is why.
Here we are. I'm better now, so that's fine. So that's E. E is to
fetch.
We must
feed
ourselves.
Feed, and number 2 is what?
Look. No. The number 2 is E. That is ensure our own security.
Okay.
We have to begin to think about that. Nigeria is so vulnerable as we speak, so vulnerable that if we had a problem with any of these neighboring countries, they can take us out. Why? Because we don't have even the capacity to manufacture a single bullet. The other time, it was our president giving $500 million for 2 years in advance to the US for the supply of Tucano. And they said, look, we will not supply this to you until 2 years' time. That tells you how vulnerable we are. Our defense industries that used to manufacture guns have stopped, according to what I hear. So we must develop that. But most importantly, in terms of security, security is tied to employment. We must employ more people. That's why I say there's a lot of space for employment in the public sector. I think differently. I don't care who supports me or who doesn't. I don't care who likes my idea, who doesn't. I'm sorry. But I'm telling you that one of the received wisdom that says that everybody should go into entrepreneurship and there's no work in government is one of the biggest undoing of this country. There's work in government. If we do cut and paste, go to Europe, go to even South Africa, and see how they run their affairs and come back here and see, you will see that everything is manned in Europe. There's a manning level in every area. And it's because the leaders of those places, they determined that there's an irreducible minimum of standard of living that the people must have. Even if you live in the village, if you live in the village, you must have light, you must have water, you must have road works if the road gets to that point. Even in Ukraine, in everywhere that I see, some of them have been to, you know what I mean? So we must ensure our own security by employing a lot of youth to man their own environment. And perhaps that is where I support even things like state policing. Governors can employ more police and have their own police, whatever it is. I don't think it's such a big deal anymore. You know, the time has come. One good thing about the idea of state policing right now is that the security votes that governors collect can now be used to pay salaries of state police. Right now, some of them collect 500 million every month, and the money just disappears. So if they had their own police, they will be forced to pay that police, whether they like it or not. If they don't pay their police, there'll be insurgents on their hands. All right, so that is E. T is to tidy up our environment. Tidy up our environment, T. And this is very, 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 very special to me and very personal to me. There's a whole lot of work that we can create in our environment sector.
You are talking about tidying up our environment. And your target is to make Nigeria the cleanest country in Africa. I mean, that's a fantasy. It's like you are not being real about that one.
It's a target, sir. It's a target. All right. When this government was coming, I did propose to them that they should, you know, you set it as a target. When you set that target, you can rally your human resources behind that target. The cleanest, the safest, and the most organized. No country has ever got to that point. All right. But you keep working on a daily basis. That's why, at least the other day, I was watching on TV in Leicester in the UK. They were showing this program about how they keep Leicester clean and how people are cleaning the place at every point. They went to places where people litter, you know, they're so finicky. And you know what? I said, we pay for that. Because before you know it, a Nigerian person goes to Leicester and says, oh, this place is so clean, I will come back next year. You go to their embassy to get a visa. You go buy a ticket. That's if they give you, sometimes they eat your money, they don't give you the visa. Then you have to buy a ticket. You have to pay for a hotel. You have to hold money that you're going to spend. So how will people come to this country if this country is a pigsty? This country is a pigsty. Look, even Abuja, which was built from the ground, I'll take you around this town, you'll be shocked. Look, I did an online course in Harvard last year called PDIA. You know, PDIA, problem-driven iterative something or the other. You know, great course for about 11 weeks in Harvard. It's online. And the first thing they talked about was administrative capability. That many governments around the world don't have that administrative capability. Sir, Pastor Sunday, you have administrative capability over your church. That's why you still have a church. That means that you know who should be manning what. You know how to go after those who are not doing their work. You understand, you have a concept and a vision about how the place should look. And you are ensuring that on a daily basis, you are keeping to that vision and even improving that vision. That is administrative capability. Nigerian governments, most of them, back to back, federal, state, they don't have administrative capability. If they had it, they can set that goal, okay, that this country will be the cleanest. Look, it is human beings that will do the work. Okay, it is human, and this you can tie that idea to the idea of employing. I usually say we don't have a problem with graduate employment. We have a problem with post-secondary unemployment. It used to be like that in this country. When you're done from secondary school, you have a job. That's what we should be looking at. I was talking to a friend of mine just yesterday, who is a bank MD, and was telling me about how in their bank, they decided that all of those cash and teller, they will just go to secondary school. Once they're coming out of secondary school, they take them, and then they will give them a certain way that they will be doing. They'll be going to school for 3 days in a week and working 3 days in a week. Even if you pay those kind of people 30,000 naira, they'll be so grateful to you. You can see that the private sector in Nigeria is moving ahead of the government. The government is telling our people, they're telling them, hey, go and start something of your own. They put their own children in CBN, put their own children in NNPC, put their own children in FRS to be earning 500,000 every month. And then you tell the children of the poor, go and start something of your own. They've never started anything of their own. I'm an entrepreneur. I know how tough it is out there.
But you
try to get a job. But anyway, I'm still on T, sir. I'm still on T. So, I could spend the whole day talking about our environment. The environment can absorb 3 million people working, cleaning this country. We have to obsess about it. We have to be obsessed about it. Look, and it is the youth that you can use. If the youth clean the streets, the youth will guard the streets. The youth will own the street and own their country. Nobody can mess up the street.
So is that why? So you are combining the cleanest and the safest together. You want to make Nigeria the cleanest country and the safest country and the most organized country.
And the most organized, yes. So these are goals, right? These are goals. It is something that we have to wake up every morning and work towards it. We wake up every morning and look, we have to be crazy about it. We have to be obsessed about it. It is where employment opportunities are for us as a people. We can take 3-5 million people into that employment. In terms of cleaning the country, people to clean the street, environmental workers, people to beautify the streets. You go to Dubai, every bridge is painted. He said, look, why are they this? The Sheikh of Dubai will not use those bridges. It is the workers from Bangladesh and Pakistan that use those pedestrian bridges. But they beautify it so much. In some of them, they put air conditioning. You go to their bus stop in Dubai, there's air conditioning there, especially during the hot season. You know what I mean, sir? So we can do it. We have to be obsessed about it. We have to set it as a goal. Whether we reach it or not is a subject for, it's a subject for time, but it's something that must be done. C is to clothe ourselves. These are the irreducible minimums. All our textile companies are folded up. We know that about 2 decades ago. But one thing that's important is this. Yes. The machines, if you go to Sharada in Kano, if you go to this other place in Kaduna where the textile companies were, the machines that they were using then, if somebody had to start that company all over again, they wouldn't need all those machines anymore. The machines that we use now are a lot more efficient, more energy efficient, cheaper, faster. That is how the white man thinks. The white man is always thinking in terms of innovation, in terms of making things better, cheaper, easier. And they know that they must have discovered that a long time ago that if we make things easier and better for people, people will pay. So that is one. But Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
And he had 500, as at that time, the combination of India, consisting Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all of them, maybe like 500 million people. The man said, no, there's no way we'll be importing all our clothing from England. And they didn't like him for that. But today, that region, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and so on, that is the biggest area for textile in the world right now. The biggest area producers of textile in the world right now. How can Nigeria call itself a giant of Africa, 180 million? We're not. I said the government must give tax rebates and incentives to companies that want to set up textile companies in Nigeria because we have to clothe ourselves. And H is for housing ourselves. The last one is H, and is to house ourselves. And what do I mean by this? Nigeria has never had a plan whatsoever for the really poor people, okay? I'm talking about the poorest of the poor. Those who live in the village. When you go to the villages, you see they're still living in those mud houses. As I talk to you, many of them are falling down where they stand. Some people are building new mud houses. The government has had absolutely no input in the building of those mud houses. There's nothing wrong in building mud houses, but if we were other people who would have standardized and innovated that process such that the mud will be stronger, more resilient, more sustainable, more environmentally friendly right now, but we haven't done any of those. So we have neglected them. And look, if we can focus on rural renewal, every time we talk of urban renewal, if we focus on rural renewal, okay, to say these rural people we've never done anything for, let's go and assist them. In every other village, can we build 50 prototype houses there? Consult with the village chief, consult with whatever, and say, how are we going to allocate this thing? We need to disrupt even the villages in a way that they'll be able to live there, in a way that someone who is in the city will not mind living in the village. Right now, everybody runs away from their village. We run to the city, and then we say there's crime in the city. Look, the closest we have got to some sort of housing for the poor is Jakonde houses. How many people can afford Jakonde houses? 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom flats. The man in the village doesn't. Sir, look, if we study China, oh, sir, it's a very painful thing for me, I must say. I'm sorry. So if you study China and see what they're doing for their poor, how they have made up, this year they are taking so many people out of the extremely poor areas, taking them to better accommodation, to better accommodation. The other time in 2017, President Xi Jinping went to the villages of China. He went to see them. He didn't use razzmatazz. He sat on their beds. He asked them what they wanted, the government, what could they do for them. You could see proud people. You could see governments that were willing to assist their people. In this place, we have no plans for them. So housing ourselves. In almost every city in Nigeria, there's sprawling slums everywhere. People living in houses made of bags, discarded rice bags, sewn together. In 2018, when some people are living in mansions, listen, in Abuja here where I stay, there's more than 300,000 unoccupied buildings, luxury houses, with many of them with swimming pools, unoccupied. When they said they wanted to do something in housing, everybody was building luxury houses. We're sitting right now on a housing bubble, but because we never want to hear the truth, everybody is covering it up. They started AMCON when some of these big men went and actually took loans from the bank. The next thing they started AMCON, they packed all the loans from the banks and threw them into AMCON. The MD of AMCON was complaining a week ago that those people who are owing them, they're even bullshitting him and telling him to go to hell. And I said then Buhari should do something, energize the MD of AMCON to pick those people up. About 350 people are sitting on more than 10 trillion naira, which has been underwritten by the Nigerian people. You have just dipped down into taxpayers' money and giving them for free. They're gallivanting all over the place. They call themselves billionaires. So in terms of housing, I think if we focus on rural, very, very rural houses, to rebuild them, to give them a better prototype, to recreate a new Nigerian village, we need to have those model villages everywhere. If all you can do is maybe room and parlor for them, it's something, and give them an idea of how to make black and who are white people to this country and say, let us go to my village. Then you go and say, oh, this is how Africans are living. But right now, if you go to many of our villages, apart from maybe people who went and built their own mansions in the villages, what you see will not impress you. When you get there, you see that most of our children in the villages are undernourished, malnourished. My party participated in Ekiti election, and so I had to go to many of the villages, the hinterlands of Ekiti. It is pathetic what's going on in this country. Look, the world of today and tomorrow will have no space, absolutely no space, no tolerance for the kind of things that we're brewing up in this country, where children are undernourished, malnourished. Bill Gates came to this country to tell them about the need to invest in human capital. He said that if children don't get the right kind of nutrition early, their brain shrinks. And when the brain shrinks, even if they will feed themselves later on, the brain does not grow. and therefore they cannot compete in the Community of Nations with their counterparts from elsewhere. So F is for feeding ourselves, E is for ensuring our security, T is for tidying up after ourselves. These, I just use these small acronyms. These are massive areas that I'm talking about. T is for clothing ourselves, H is for housing ourselves, with particular focus on very rural housing. We need to do a rural renewal. We need to start afresh. We need to do things that we've never done before.
Wow, 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 wow. You have some things that you call your achievement, your core achievements and projections. Do you want to talk about that? Is that the philosophy that you are proposing for Nigeria?
No, actually, the philosophies are different, but you know the reason why the philosophy came up is that look, you cannot be planning for finance, okay, or planning for job or industry or manufacturing or whatever without thinking about the way the people think. We want, look, this document is not another joke of a manifesto where somebody will come and say, I will build a hospital here, I will build whatever there. This is actually like an operation manual for anybody can take it and use it to run Nigeria. And in fact, when I put it in the space, someone said, they will steal the idea. I say, let them steal the idea, so long as they use it. I don't have to be president. And I'm saying again, I don't have to be the president, right? I don't. Okay, but I want them to steal some of these ideas and make this country a better place, because the shame is enough, sir. More than 30,000 women escaped into Italy from Nigeria in 2016 alone, according to the report.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
We are hearing you.
Okay, according to the report by the International Organization for Migration, more than 30,000 women escaped from Nigeria into Italy. We lost, in last year alone, we lost more than 2,000 Nigerians in the Mediterranean Sea. Some of them are children. You need to see how pathetic it is. So I don't care. I don't need to be the president. Steal these ideas and use it. That's it. But before you steal this idea, I must be heard. I must be heard. I will say the one I know and say, guys, this is the way that this country should move. So that's why I came up with this philosophy. The philosophy, I said, encourage entrepreneurs, right, by outlawing multiple taxes. Very important. These days they say, go and start a company, then they come after you, then they kill the company for you. All right. Then things like ensuring food sufficiency is very, very important, and strengthening your purchasing power. Because if you say someone should go and do entrepreneurship, the problem they have right now is that there's nobody around to pay. You manufacture, you do things, you want to sell, nobody has the money. Then mass productivity, ensure economic complexity. I mentioned economic complexity earlier on. That's the way to go. It's about adding value to everything we do. A lot of the things, look, the other day I did a research of all the solid minerals in this country. Let me just mention one. Gold. A friend of mine who works in mining described to me the golden belt of Nigeria. The gold belt of Nigeria runs from south to the north. That's why you find gold in Elisha, in Osun State, in Ife. And then you find gold in Zamfara. If you trace that line, there's a gold belt down there. Okay? But the point is, right, we have to move away from just exploiting these things to sell abroad. We have things like tantalite, columbite. Okay, there's one called coltan or something like that. You know, that some of these things, why are we doing these things for cheap? Per ton, we just sell it anyhow. And then they get so much money from us. You know, so what we must do with some of those things is to add value ourselves, and if necessary, to create the companies that can add that ourselves. So establish the most communicative, I mentioned something called the most communicative government in Nigeria ever. Because our governments, when they get into office, they just shut the door on themselves, they lock themselves up inside bulletproof official cars, and they zoom around. Why is a governor not able to talk to his people on a daily basis? What's the big deal? What's the big deal in a governor coming to this country to say, listen, every morning I will address my people at 8 o'clock, whether I'm driving to work or I'm in the house or I'm in the office. And so, good morning, my people. This is what I want you to do this morning. Be positive. Go out there, do your work. You know, pump them up. F.D. Roosevelt led the USA for almost 16 years. He was the only president ever elected 4 times for 16 years. And this F.D. Roosevelt, he led America mostly from a wheelchair. However, even through the war, he would have what they call a fireside chat. A fireside chat, he would sit down with his people and begin to tell them, this is how this is going, this is what we can do, this is what we're going to achieve, and so on and so forth. So I believe we should have a communicative government.
Look, you are talking about, you know, I don't care if I'm going to become president or not. Now, the question I have for you is, are you people ready to unite, you and the new generation of the youth aspirants? Are you all ready to unite and, you know, force a united, because you must force a united force to be able to form a united force before you could be able to unseat the present government and PDP?
The first is, we had a meeting last week. We even have another meeting tomorrow. Of course, people are ready to unite, but before we unite, the point is, what ideas are people bringing to the table? Uniting is one thing. The real thing is about choosing someone, for example, as the people who say we should go and do, choose somebody that will go and represent you. Sometimes I want to feel like, okay, people are not ready to do the wahala of choosing one from the other. So they just want, give us one person. But the challenge before Nigeria is so massive that we cannot just take at, okay, give us a binary option, Buhari or one other person. Our people have not done enough research into the people that are stepping forward to know who is what. But your kind of program and this discussion you're having with me also helps a lot for Nigerians to know who is what and who has what, who knows what. It's not just about razzmatazz, in my view. You see that I'm not one of the noisier candidates. You know, for one reason, I don't really like noise. I don't call myself a politician. I'm a nation builder, and I would not have even bothered to step out if not because of the way the country is going. That's why I'm now becoming kind of a public figure. You know, I'd rather do all of this. So we had a meeting last week. So the point now, what we agreed there, which was made public, is that everybody should go and get their party nomination and ensure that we're talking. It's only what we're chosen. So maybe by the time we now know who's chosen from there, we can now meet and decide on what to do. So that's one thing. But I suggested to them, we also met Charlie Boy, and when we're there, I suggested to them that we need, if you want this thing to be credible, we have to have an election before the election. We have to, as we are discussing, we expand the group, let everybody come and pitch and say whatever they want to say. But more importantly, we need to take this thing public and let the public get involved in what we're doing. So even we may get to a point where we have to organize debates. Let us organize debates and let people come and say what they have in mind. What do you have? How do you solve this problem? The how. We need to know the how. All right? So if we're organizing public debates in order to choose who's going to represent us, that is a lot more credible. And eventually we may even have an electronic voting where any Nigerian from anywhere can vote. And whoever wins that vote represents us. Imagine if we had a vote before a vote. Imagine if we threw it open and 500,000 Nigerians were voting from everywhere. Imagine if we did it as an electronic voting in a way that, you know, they will see that even this e-voting they've been running away from is possible, and it is these young guys that will do it. See what happened in Zimbabwe with that Chamisa guy who almost took out the government. The guy is 40. So he's telling me that, look, the world is beginning to think in terms of, you know, we need agile leaders who know what they're talking about, who can understand what we're saying in terms of AI, in terms of big data, in terms of connectivity and so on. We need agile leaders who can connect with the young people. And we also have a leg in there with the wisdom of the old people. But the world is seemingly not very receptive to the idea of 80-year-old, 90-year-old presidents anymore. Maybe apart from Malaysia or Indonesia, where the old gentleman just came up. But you see that man is actually quite exceptional.
Yeah, but I was thinking, I personally have spoken with a few of you guys, you know, and I see your strength. It's very, even this platform allows us to see the strength of each one of you. Actually, you people can form a government, a shadow government. If I were you, what I would do, you know, if I were to talk to all of you, I would have said, why don't you form a shadow government like you? Someone like you is very selfless, and you say, no, it's not about me, it's about getting Nigeria, moving Nigeria forward. okay, let's say you are most passionate about, making the country work, just taking the country, like those 5 things. Okay, be somebody in charge of that. There is another guy who is more passionate about artificial intelligence. Let him be in charge of technology. There is another guy who is more like 4 years was Showore, who is very passionate about putting people in prison. Let him be in charge of EFCC. There is another guy who is in charge, who is very passionate about the economy, Kingsley. Let him be in charge of the economy. There is Awal that I spoke to, very good, grassroots politician. Let him be in charge of local, all those kind of things. Why don't you people just say, okay, for the sake of this country, okay, let's all undo one area. And if you people could just come, let's say 20 or 40 presidential candidates, and say, we have divided how to man the whole country. Everybody is bringing, and we are going to work together as a force. It will be easier to unseat either PDP or APC.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's a clear possibility. Like I said, we are meeting again tomorrow, and the discussions are going on. Mind you, this is politics, and in politics, egos are large, and people have all sorts of plans. And if you put your cards on the table so quickly, you can be double crossed. This is politics, right? So we have to be extremely careful. Everybody is watching each other and all of that. But yeah, we can get there. But what I've said is the most transparent. In fact, I did a list about it right here, which I'm still going to represent to them tomorrow. The best way we can actually, if we want to upset these people, we can form that shadow government. But we should also go and have like an open debate and let people come and tell what ideas they have. And then we have an open election, an electronic election all over the world. I know there are people listening to me from Europe, from America, from everywhere. That I'm sure they'll be excited about that. They also have their own candidates. I know who they support. Chances are that will skew the vote. If you say people should vote from outside the country,
what you mentioned about
it is something.
You mentioned
we can rally 2 million.
What was the guy you mentioned? T-Boy or something? What? Charlie Boy? Is he running as well?
No, he's not running. He's just an area father. Maybe you don't know him very well. He's a very articulate old man. He's 70.
Wow.
He's 70 years old. Oh yes.
Then why do you call him boy?
Well, that's what he calls himself, not me. Charlie Boy has been around for long, So he's actually an influencer. He's a very distinguished old man, even though of the punk type, So we also everybody is talking. So when he called people to come and see, we went because it's someone that people respect, and he's a grassroots kind of person. So yeah, the talk is continuing tomorrow, and I will be able to feed you back as well.
Well, Mr. Tope Fasua, you have done a very, very good job today. I'm so sad that our time is limited. We've been speaking for 1.5 hours. So it's like we have just spoken for 10 minutes because you have so much to talk about. I have so much to talk about with you. And but you know what? I really want to maintain relationship with you. I want to continue conversation with you, but I will give you the last say. So whatever you want to tell our people before we go.
No, I just want to say that, okay, I want to say, if people ask me, something I find it difficult, where do I start? I came up with something, that what we need to achieve in Nigeria is a paradox. Okay, I belong to a party called ANRP, Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP, and in that party, our philosophy is called, our ideology is called constructive and positive pragmatism. What we're saying is that we're going to choose the best policies. We're going to cherry pick the best policies that work for our people in the present circumstances that we find ourselves. So we're neither capitalist nor socialist. If it's a capitalism idea that can work for us, we take the bit that can work for us with sense. We talk about common sense. If you look here in this brochure, I have it here that we need to take 70 million people out of poverty. Okay, just like China has been able to take 300, 400 million, and India presently has taken about 2 million, 200 million people out of poverty. So we're talking about that. It sounds like a social policy, but we're also thinking of growing the economy by 20% per annum. So if we're talking about, look, that we can grow the GDP by 15, 20%, the reorganization of the people and this economy that I mentioned earlier will naturally unleash so much value that this economy can grow by 15% to 20% per annum. Nobody should, look, we're growing at 1.9% per annum right now. It is a sin for such an economy with nothing to be growing by 1.5%, 1.9%. I mean, if you see here, you will see all those things we mentioned about budget earlier on, the budget issue. If we can double the budget, we're almost doubling the GDP, you know, if the money circulates. So the possibilities are there. I don't know why we're like this as a people, you know, but please, more importantly, for those who have sent this thing to, the most important page, I have a donation page here. For anybody that I've sent this to, please don't leave me in the lurch. I can't do this alone. My party is crowdfunded. My campaign is crowdfunded. The little I have, I'm going to justify it to anybody that sends to me. And the little I have, I'm also putting entirely into it. So, you know, please, this is a very important document. I don't mind. They can sell it to Mr. Buhari or anybody else. Let them feel the idea, so long as Nigeria works. Thank you very much, Pastor Sunday, sir.
Wow. You are a very, very industrious mind. Your mind, I like your mind. I like your ideas, and I would like to really continue the conversation with you. We are showing the contact of Mr. Tope Fasua right now, and you know, please get in touch with him. This kind of person, he is having so much to offer Nigeria, and this man must be given a chance. I don't know how they are going to do it, but if I were in their place, I would suggest for them to form a shadow government and be able to, you know, give everybody a chance. All those people who are so passionate about Nigeria, I think they should come together. That's the only way they will unseat all these cabals that are there. But, you know, you've heard of, I mean, from Mr. Tope Fasua today. He's absolutely unconventional. He's you know, very, very innovative mind. And I would like you to go to his website, and that is his contact there. Go to his website, go to his contact him, you know, write him, go to his Facebook, you know, get in touch with him, and let the conversation start. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll be back in the next 25 minutes. And thank you, Mr. Tope Fasua. See you. Bye.
Thank you very much, sir. God bless.